And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Furstenfeld. Mispronunciation, I'm sure. It's another game by Friedemann Friese, and you could tell that because it's green, and since I'm using a green screen here, it was probably invisible with whatever background I've decided to put on this one. But it's a game about selling to breweries. Basically, this game is a buy, sell, build. It almost feels like a kind of variant of Blue Moon City by Rainer Knizia. It's not really, but it's all about buying, selling, and knowing when to build a palace. It's a tighter game, but before I give more of my critique of what I think of it, let's take a look at it. For one thing, it has some pretty neat pieces. So here's the board. You can see it. There's three different kinds of resources here. We got water, barley, and hops. And then we got coins and denominations 1 and 5. Here's the different breweries here. Each one has a card placed on it at the beginning of the game to show the demand of that brewery. Like, for example, this one wants 3 water each turn, 1 barley, and 2 hops. So that's basically the gist of setup. Each player is going to have a board, and all boards are the same way, and so they'll have this board in front of them. And what this board does is it shows you, they're basically where you're going to put your buildings. Now, buildings that a player has are going to come from a deck of cards. So each player, turns are very, very simple, really. Each player is going to have a handful of cards each turn. And then after they draw their cards, and you're going to be discarding cards, you can keep one of them between turns. Any place you have that produces resources is going to do so. So let's take a closer look here at this board. So each round of the game, I'm going to get 1 of each resource. However, I will be able to build cards as the game goes by, spending money. Like, for example, I could build this card for $3, and now each turn I'll get 2 of the hops rather than 1. Or if I have $15, I can put this down and this will produce 3. Now you can see the problem here is going to be that the board is going to fill up very quickly. You are, however, allowed to place buildings on top of other ones. So for example, if I wanted 2 barley, I could do that. Or, more, that's probably not as good as doing something like this. Now, the whole goal of the game is to build palace pieces. Each person has a palace piece. And so you're going to be building these, and in fact if you play the advanced game, you have to build them in a specific spot. Yeah, no thank you. But you want to build these palace pieces, but as you can see, the more palace pieces, the less room you'll have for other things. And there's not just fields and palace buildings, there's all sorts of things. There are cards that when you play them, they'll give you special abilities. Or cards that will give you more money when you sell the different things, or cards that let you build other ones for cheaper, or cards that just give you a bonus income per round, like the bank. Okay, there's different kinds of cards. Now, let's look at the board. After everyone has done collecting their resources each turn, you're going to sell your resources, and this has a kind of a stock market feel to it. You're allowed to sell your resources to one zone. And each, or one brewery, I guess I'm calling them zones. At the beginning of the game, each of these breweries has a price for each of their things, and it's going to start here on level 1. Now you'll notice that level 1 is actually made up of 4 steps, and so is level 2 and level 3. But let's say, for example, I was selling to this one, and I had 3 barley and no hops and 1 water. Okay? And I could sell them to this. I would sell the 1 water, and that would get me $1. I could sell the 3 barley, even though they only want 2. I could sell them all 3, and that would give me $3 more. So I would get a total of $4. However, since I sold 1 more barley than they wanted, the price of barley would come down. In fact, now that it's down to 0, they're not going to take it until the price goes up again. Since no one sold them hops, the price of hops goes up by 1, and since there are 2 water tokens here, the price of water goes up by 2. So you can see, since no one can sell them barley next turn the price of barley is going to go up too. And so all these breweries are treated the same way, And you're going to see this moving up and down aspect of all of them. Over here is an income track where players will keep track of the amount of income they get each turn. You'll move to the other side of the board, and that's to help determine turn order between rounds. So you're going to get money from here, plus your cards and offices. And yet, like I said, you're trying to build those palace pieces. Now each palace piece, if you notice, the palace piece has a Roman numeral on it, doesn't have a price. That's because the cost of building a palace piece is up here in the corner. Here you see that a palace piece costs 8. Anytime someone builds a palace piece, we place a wooden cube on here. The number of wooden cubes is equal to the number of players in the game. So if there's 5 players, as soon as someone places the 5th wooden cube on here, they're all removed and the card is taken off, and now the price of palace pieces has gone up to 10. And this will continue to happen. The price will keep increasing until someone eventually wins. So you can see that if you wait till the end of the game to build your palace piece, then you're going to be paying a lot of money for them. But the sooner you build the palace pieces, then the less room you're going to have on your board to do and produce money. So you're trying to get a big income and trying to get a nice engine going with your cards so that you have enough money to build the palace pieces. It's when the transition from building these buildings to building palace pieces that will help you win or lose the game. First person to build all 6 palace pieces is the winner. Alright, I don't dislike this game. It's an interesting game. It has this kind of bell curve type thing to it where in the beginning you definitely don't want to buy any palace pieces, even if you have the money for them, because it's going to use up a huge chunk of your room. You only have 6 spots to put everything. But at the same time, if you wait till later on in the game, they're going to be more expensive. And the game kind of grinds down to a slow halt at some point, because once people have 4 or 5 castle pieces, then it's a slow, do I wait till I get enough money to buy that last castle piece? It's not a game that takes forever. It's just that it feels like you're doing kind of variations on the same theme. Maybe the game's a little too long for what it is. The buying and selling aspect and watching the prices go up and down, that's interesting. And I like the fact that you have to sell all your stuff at one place, whether it's for good or for bad, and you can force prices to go up or down, affecting other people. And the special buildings have some kind of impact on what you do next. And some buildings may seem better than others. Others don't seem as useful, but with the right combinations, they work well. So it's good. I think for me, it's just the fact that it's a little tighter than I would want it to be. I mean, I really was like, I can't make one mistake here or I'm out of the game type situation. It's an interesting game. It's certainly not for everybody. It's close to a stock market game. In fact, I'll be doing a review of Black Friday, which is a true stock market game by the same designer. This one has a lot of feel to that, and using special powers on buildings to get there.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.